everybody. My name's Alicia, and you're listening to the Self Awearness Podcast, where we share mental health journeys from all different types of backgrounds. Today, we have the opportunity to interview Jake Dellen. Jake is a Navy veteran, a natural bodybuilder, and he's pursuing his career as a physical trainer. Today, we're going to talk about his struggles that he experienced after separating the Navy and entering his journey as a veteran. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the show. Hey everybody, we're back at the Self Awearness Podcast. We have Jake here today, and I'm so excited to hear his journey and hear what he has to say for his mental health experience. And let's go ahead and hear a little bit about Jake. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Jake. I am 29 years old. I currently live out in San Diego, California with my beautiful, loving wife, Kelsey. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a pretty small farm town. I did 6 years in the Navy. I was in Aegis FC, fire controlman, basically a computer nerd, if you will, for the Aegis weapon system. Yeah, I did 6 years. I got out in May of 2021. And then ever since then, I've been an online fitness coach, specifically for the active duty and veteran community, but I also work with non-military as well. Other than that, I'm just a normal, regular dude. I like to have fun, travel, go out, try new experiences, things like that. So, yeah.
Yay, so cool. Like right off the bat, we already have so much in common, both in the military, like in the Navy, and we actually both got out the same year, a few months apart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I lived in San Diego, and there's so much to do out there if anybody hasn't been out to San Diego. So yeah, it's so fun as far as like visiting experience and just great community in general. So I'm sure along that journey of being in the military and being out of the military and really focusing on that veteran community, that's something we're also passionate about. Can we start off here? Is there maybe a time where you remember or kind of just like got the idea of what is mental health and the overall basis of what mental health means to you?
For sure. So if I think back in my life, I think the time span between like getting out of high school up until the time that I joined the Navy was kind of the first time I was introduced to a lot of just mental health awareness kind of stuff. I would say it didn't really hit home for me until probably getting out of the military that I realized the importance of mental health. Kind of while I was in, but when you get out, it was just more apparent to me at that time. So mental health to me, that's a really good question. I would say, just like your physical body, taking care of your physical health, it's something that we need to pay close attention to, like what kind of thoughts do we have? Are we saying nice things to ourselves? Are we taking care of ourselves mentally? And I think it's something that it's more common nowadays, but I think, years ago, mental health wasn't really talked about as much. Yeah, mental health to me is just taking care of the things that I say to myself and the kind of thoughts that I have and my well-being, right? It's just like another facet of health because you have the physical health, emotional health, and then you have the mental health, right? Just kind of what kind of things do I say to myself on a daily basis, right? Are those usually positive or are those negative? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. I think it makes so much sense because I love how you related that, physical health is related to mental health and taking care of it the same way. I think so many people can relate to this because I know we see the memes online, mental health is health. And, like you were saying, it wasn't taken as seriously previously years back. And obviously now it is, which is amazing, but it's still learning those habits and those skills that you can increase your mental health the same way that you do your physical health. And one thing that I really like that you pointed on is the way you talk to yourself. There's so many things that can happen within your body, mentally, emotionally, which leads to physically when your mind is or is not controlled by your thoughts. So like a spiraling example is having somebody have these negative thoughts, which leads you into kind of like only being able to focus on that. And then it can lead into like a physical reaction. Like a lot of people feel, tension in their body, like their neck or something. So that's such a great example. But to go along with your realization of mental health, and you were saying that you realized it was more important and you were more aware of it once you became a veteran. Is there any symptoms that you were aware of while you're in or while you're out that you experience with mental health, like anxiety, depression, or anything along those lines?
Yes, all of them. Um, I mean, for anyone that has ever served, um, I mean, everybody just knows like that your baseline of anxiety and depression and stress just elevate. You know what I mean? And I think some symptoms that I experienced were just constant stress and anxiety, like all the time. It almost feels like, and there literally is someone always kind of watching you, and like you don't want to mess up, you don't want to get in trouble. There's so much workload. There's just so much immense stress and pressure on you while serving. And it wasn't until I had some of these experiences of like lashing out or like kind of blowing up in certain ways that made me kind of like look internally and be like, whoa, this is not normally how I act. This is not who I am. Like, why am I experiencing this? Why am I going through this? Right. And then, especially when getting out of the service, because you've been told what to do, when to sleep, when to eat, how to live your life for the past 6 years. And then you kind of get thrown out to the wolves in the civilian world. It's kind of like, whoa, it's a culture shock. I don't even know really who I am anymore. Um, and that's when it kind of really hit me, is when I got out of the military.
Oh. I just have so much grace, and I'm so thankful that you were able to be vulnerable and share that with us. And like you were saying, the example of lashing out and being able to realize, hey, like I'm angry and I'm saying these things and reacting this way. This isn't normally how I respond, and that's such a key point of self-awareness, being able to recognize those patterns that don't seem familiar to yourself. One thing I like to say that was the most valuable thing I brought on my deployment was a 99-cent mirror that I hung on my wall, and I wrote self reflection is everything. And I think
Oh,
that kind of
wow.
relates, yeah. And that's kind of what I use it for, similar to what you said. This situation happens or this person says something to me, but like, what am I doing and how am I reacting that's going to actually benefit myself and others? So being able to identify that and recognize that, that's such a huge step, Jake. And thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Um, and yeah, when you were saying you get out of the military, you really do lose your identity. You lose technically, yeah, they had that control on you, but then it's like released. And as a veteran myself, you assume, okay, I'm free. This is awesome. But then at the same time, you're like, okay, everything I knew and everything I was surrounded for 6 to 7 years is gone now. And it's just a very misunderstood and hard to even pinpoint the exact feeling or kind of like circumstances that you're going through. Can you kind of walk us through, like, when you first became a veteran, what were the thoughts that went through your head, or maybe some emotions that you realized that were kind of like throwing you off, which you maybe weren't even expecting to have? Like I was saying, you're probably thinking you're going to feel free. How did that kind of lay out for you?
Yeah, so leading up to me getting out of the service, I was looking forward to it, right? And I think a lot of people kind of go through this feeling as well. They kind of can't wait to get out, right? You kind of think about this like this dream of getting out and having all this freedom. I'm going to be able to do what I want, I can go to school, I can go do this and that. And when you do get out, yes, you have so much freedom, but I also think that was part of the issue. It was like so much freedom that I was like, oh, I can kind of do whatever I want, whenever I want, right? And I think it's just so funny that like that's what I wanted so bad, but then when I got so much freedom, it was almost scary because I was like, oh, I'm an adult now. I'm almost 30 years old. I have all this freedom to do whatever I want, and I can do whatever I want whenever I want. Yeah, it just turned into too much freedom. That's all I can say on that, I guess.
Yeah, I hear what you say. It kind of seems like a kid in the candy shop. You're like, I can have whatever I want, and obviously at the time you're so excited, but relating that to an actual situation, like if you eat all this candy, you're probably not gonna feel very good. Obviously physically, but and mentally. Yeah, that's such a great example of the circumstances that you're going through, which kind of just gave you a setback. There was no structure. There was just such a culture shock, like you mentioned. And that can be really scaring and intimidating for people, especially since they knew a lifestyle for so long and the community to go along with that. And I know, Jake, you also do natural bodybuilding. There are so many skills, habits, and I guess mindsets that you can relate to bodybuilding. Could you kind of give us an idea of maybe walk us through a bodybuilding competition you went through, some things that you did for like mindset training, also nutrition training, and what your relationship was like with your coach?
Sure. So actually, all of the bodybuilding shows that I've ever done, I've actually never had a coach for those. I only worked
Okay.
with a coach most recently, just to honestly get super shredded for a vacation, which is kind of funny. It's like, why didn't I get a coach when I was actually doing a bodybuilding show? Um,
Okay.
but for the bodybuilding shows, yeah, it takes a lot of discipline, right? And you learn a lot about yourself, not only physically, but mentally. And I think what it really boils down to, at least for me, is like keeping that end goal in mind of telling myself, hey, like I'm gonna be stepping on stage in 90 days. Like every single day, every single second, every single meal counts, right? And when the times got hard, when I wanted to cheat on my diet, when I wanted to skip workouts, I would just always think back to, hey, I'm getting on stage. Like I have to do this. And it almost kind of relates back to when I was on deployment, when we would get extended the first time, the second time, the third time. Yes, it was very, a terrible feeling that you get, right? Nobody wants to be extended, but I kept thinking about, okay, this isn't going to last forever. I'm going to be pulling in at some point. And I kept thinking about the things that I'm going to do with my wife, like all the fun that I'm going to have, and that it's going to get here. And it kind of is the same thing with bodybuilding. It's like you kind of have to endure the suck in the moment, but it's all going to be worth something. And just always keep that end goal in mind. Like it's not going to last forever. I'm going to be stepping on stage. Like you got this. Just keep pushing forward.
I love that. I love it because it's such a great goal to have and just set your habits and your ability for determination. And you explain it in such a positive way of, I'm going to get a reward, especially relating it, because I was going to ask relating it to your experience in the military. Yeah, having your time pushed back in order, like when you get home, obviously that's a very frustrating feeling, and I think a lot of people can relate to that of who've served. But like you said, you came at it with a positive mindset. I am going to still, be able to come home to my wife, and I'm still, with bodybuilding, this isn't going to last forever. And just relating that to staying focused and staying determined in order to get the benefit and be patient with yourself and with your circumstance around you. So many times our circumstances can make us feel like it's too overwhelming and we can't get what we're striving to do. But obviously, these examples can show you it is possible, it is relatable in many situations. So, thank you so much for sharing that.
Of
um,
course. Yeah,
and
I think we get so like sucked into that moment of like this sucks or this is never going to end that we never really zoom out and get an objective standpoint on it,
yeah,
right? So I think it's important just to remember that at all times. Like it may suck right now, but it's not always going to be like that. And just remember that end goal in mind at all times.
Yes. That's so funny because when I did my show, that's also what I thought. I was just like, well, I can't have ice cream right now, but I will eventually. So,
Hmm.
I think I can do this. And it's so funny. I don't know if you can relate to this, but like you said, I got to get this workout done because I'm going to, I have this goal and basically nothing's going to stop me. And then it's kind of I thought it from a mindset of going to work. I'm like, is there a reason strong enough for me not to go to work right now? Like if I had a job, like is there a reason strong enough for me not to make it to the gym? Probably not. So
Right.
it's like kind of gives you that extra motivation of like, yeah, embrace the suck. It's gonna suck, but you're gonna get it done and you're gonna feel better after doing it because you're closer to your goal.
You always do.
Um, I love that. To kind of go off of this new trainer that you have, something that we like to elaborate on is maybe working with someone who can keep you accountable to help you build habits, whether if it's food, exercise, or anything along those lines. What kind of made you choose or helped you choose the right trainer that you have now? And can you elaborate on that relationship that you guys have right now?
Sure. So actually, I worked with him probably in, I think it was 2022. So I haven't been working with him currently. But yeah, the relationship I had with him was literally amazing and everything that I ever wanted in a coach. I think what you want in a coach is someone that listens and understands you and hears you out and also collaborates with you, right? I think in the coaching space, it's not so much like, here are your macros, here's your training plan, do this, do that. It's like you have a goal that you're trying to get to, like we're working on this together, we're collaborating on this. I want to hear your inputs. Here's what I think, right? I'm kind of the expert on this, and here's what I think you should be doing. Let me get your inputs, let me get your thoughts on it, right? And it's that back and forth of working together. And how I chose to work with my coach Brandon, um, I don't know. It just, I guess it was like a gut feeling. You kind of know, right?
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to, because I'm in the fitness space, I'm around a lot of people that maybe have like big followings on social media and stuff like that. And I kind of wanted to go the opposite direction. I'm like, I don't want to work with someone that's like super flashy and has all these followers. Like I want someone that knows their shit, can get me results and can cultivate like a real relationship with me. Right? It's not fake. It's real. And I'm very thankful that I found Brandon because I had a great time working with him. I worked with him over probably a year.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. I love the way you explain that because, especially you being a trainer yourself, I assume those are the values that you are looking for yourself, but also the values and morals that you give to your own clients and what's important to you. And like we said, we really want to emphasize like the connection you can build with having somebody keep you accountable for your goals. And like you said, use that extra knowledge to help you achieve something that you're striving for. Can you explain anything along the lines of being your own trainer and how you feel people best connect with you? When you find a client, why do you think they choose you, and what do you do in order to benefit and increase that relationship so you can best serve them?
That's a good question. I think people choose to work with me because I guess I always try to portray myself as just like a normal, regular dude, and I try to be as relatable as possible. My goal is to just portray that on social media that like I'm not some like person or coach trainer up on this pedestal. I'm just a normal person like you that took a little bit of extra time to learn about physical fitness, bodybuilding, training, all this stuff. So I may have a little bit more knowledge than you, but I'm just a regular person like you. And I want to connect with you and create a relationship. It's more than just coach and client. We're actually friends at the end of the day. And I deeply care about you and I want to get you these results. It's not like you're just another number, another person on my roster. We are cultivating real relationships here. And I think hopefully that's what gets across on my social media. And I think that's maybe what attracts people to work with me is like, hey, I'm a real person just like you. and I love training. I may know a little bit more than you, and I just want to help you get to this goal genuinely.
Yay, that's so comforting to hear. I think a lot of people who haven't had an experience of having a trainer will feel very relieved to hear that side of you as a trainer yourself, and just feel more comfortable, because it is a way of, like, you know, building a relationship and just building that trust in between an individual you may or may not know. There are could be some insecurities when someone wants to start incorporating a trainer. So I think that's very comforting for you to say, and help build that trust. For somebody who, say, they're a little bit afraid to have a trainer, what would you recommend as far as like health and fitness to start a physical health journey?
Someone that is afraid to reach out to a trainer or a coach, and
Yeah.
that wants to start their health and fitness journey?
Yeah.
Hmm. I would say reach out. Right? I think I think it kind of goes back to we haven't got into this yet, but like when I think of
Hmm.
therapy, right? And like kind of having that feeling that I should probably go talk to someone. I probably need to go talk to someone. I'm a little afraid to do it, but then like once you do it, you're like, "Damn, I'm glad I did that."
Yeah.
And if you understand that, reaching out to a coach or a trainer, like this is their job. Their job is to help you. And I would say just have the courage to ask for help. Doesn't even have to be like a coach or a trainer. Could just be like a friend that you know that is into fitness, that works out. Be like, hey, like I'm interested in doing XYZ. I want to get started in my journey. Like, where do you think I should start? Right? Is just finding that someone that is kind of in a position where you want to be, or that knows a little bit more than you, and just asking
Mhm.
for help. I would say just have the courage to ask, honestly.
Do you have any friends that are active duty military that may be seeking to get help but are afraid it's going to be documented on their military record? I want to introduce our favorite resource through Military One Source. They will actually connect you with an outside therapist who can provide 12 free counseling sessions that are not documented on your military record. And this referral is actually recommended from, believe it or not, my past XO. I think it's fair to say that within the military community, there's still a stigma about getting mental health treatment due to the fact that it may affect your active duty status. If this is a reason why you or someone you may know has not sought help yet during their military service, I highly recommend. I've used it myself, and we're going to go ahead and link the information in the bio. And again, thank you guys for joining the show today. Sweet. I love that, because similar to the way you found your trainer, I found my first trainer the same way. And I really do believe it's a gut feeling thing. Like, I have this trust. I'm just going to do it because I know they're going to be able to help me to where I want to be. So, to go into the topic of therapy, one of our questions is, do you go to therapy? Have you gone to therapy? Or what are your thoughts on therapy overall in general?
Yeah, so I have gone to therapy in the past. I actually started going to therapy after I got back from deployment. Currently, I do not go to therapy, but I think therapy is really good, really great. And again, going back to the question that you just asked, especially for men, I mean, I can only speak on men because I am a man. It is very hard for us to ask for help because we always have the mentality of I can do this on my own. I'm a man. This is what I'm supposed to do. Like I handle my own problems. I don't want to burden somebody else with my problems. And that's never the case. That's never the case.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love therapy. It's great. I think you definitely have to find the right kind of person, therapist to talk to. I've talked to I think two or three in total, and it took me a couple of times until I found the person that I could trust and be vulnerable with and open up with. Um, but yeah, therapy is great. It's just a good way to get all the thoughts and shit that's on your chest, just to get it out to somebody, you know?
Yeah, to take that load off, and
Mm-hmm.
don't have to carry it with you. There's people here to help you. Thank you so much for being open and telling us and our followers that you were willing to do that and you were willing to, reach out for help. Like you said, it's very uncommon for men to reach out for help, especially with the military stigma that maybe there's not enough time to go to therapy or anything along those lines. There's still a lot of stigmas when it comes to getting help within the service. If you don't mind me asking, how did you reach out for help? Did you go to your corpsman? Did you look outside the military, or what was your strategy of getting help? Because I know there are multiple different strategies within the military.
Yeah. So when I actually started therapy, it was when I was out of the service, and through the VA was basically how I did it. Yeah. So I didn't, I probably should have like started going to therapy while I was in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say just find somebody that you trust and that you can talk to and kind of open up to, and just tell them, hey, like, I think I need to talk to a therapist. I need to talk to somebody. And sometimes it can be hard because I'm sure you've noticed, like, sometimes leadership is not always the best and it can be hard.
Yeah.
You can be afraid to go and talk to somebody. So it's really important just to find like those people that you can trust and that you can open up to, like while you're serving. Talk to them first, and then kind of hopefully that leads up to talking to a therapist. But when I was out of the service, it was through the VA.
Nice. I know they say every VA you go to is that VA. So every VA is like completely different.
Hmm.
Thankfully, San Francisco has been incredible. I've also reached out to the support groups that they have there. So that's something I'll be starting soon as well.
Nice.
And to go off of that, what was a sign or something that you noticed within yourself? Like you said, you mentioned it to somebody and it kind of led you to getting help. What was going through your mind when you kind of figured, all right, it's time for me to make the next step?
I think that moment for me was really just opening up and talking to my wife about it. And yeah, and even that was hard. It's my wife, who I've been married to for the longest time. We are like best friends, but even to her it was hard for me to open up and talk about my feelings and emotions. And I think she was really the one that kind of pushed me to take the next step. It's like you can only try so many times to fix, your problems, issues, and then if it's like not working, you kind of need that person to show your blind spots, and to tell you, hey, you've been doing this, trying to fix this issue for a while, it's not working. Maybe you should seek some professional help. And I think she really pushed me to take that next step.
That's incredible. I love hearing that, and I love that to hear that she's such a strong support system for you. I think it's so important, especially being in an environment within the military. Like you said, sometimes that leadership is not that safe space for you. They are not comforting, or even make you feel like you can even be vulnerable or to even speak about anything. So thank you so much for sharing how she made such an impact on your mental health journey as far as going to therapy. And to go off that a little bit, what are some coping mechanisms that you like to use outside of therapy? So one that you just pointed out was speaking to your wife about it, which, like you said, was very difficult because, I mean, even though you were so close and have spent so much time together and have been married for so long, like this was still a very difficult step for you. And first of all, I'm proud of you for doing it.
Thank you.
Yay! And second of all, thank you for sharing that. So, yeah, to go off that, what other coping mechanisms do you like continue to express to her, like what you're feeling, or anything outside of maybe like within fitness or anything along those lines that help you just feel better mentally?
Yeah, so I think the first obvious one is fitness, right? Um, it is unmatched. It is literally unmatched. If you're listening to this and you are not active, I highly encourage you to start being active, whether that's going outside for walks, whether that's starting to run, whether that's weight training, doing soul cycle, whatever it is, just get physically active because it releases so much dopamine and the endorphins are flowing and you just feel so good and on top of the world. It's literally unmatched. So I would say physical fitness is probably number one. Other than that, meditation is a big one. I was really big into meditation for a while. I was like meditating every single day. Nowadays, for me, it's more of a tool that I use when I need it. It's not like an everyday thing. But I do think there's a lot of value in sitting with yourself in silence because in today's world, it's very distracting. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're on our phones a lot. We're addicted to social media, and we never really get that unplug from everything. So sitting in silence with yourself can really help answers just kind of naturally come to you for kind of issues or problems that you're facing in your life. So I think there's a lot of value in meditation. Well, one that kind of goes along with meditation, I would say, is just getting outside in nature. Again, kind of unplugging from the world. Just putting your phone in airplane mode and going out in nature on a hike, going on the beach, anything like that, just, I don't know, just connects you to earth, connects you to something much bigger than just everyday life. And then the other thing I would say is journaling. Man, for me, I would say I'm an introvert at heart, so it's really hard for me to express a lot of things, right? So if I can open up my journal and just get everything that's on my mind off my chest onto paper, it has a lot of therapeutic value as well. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Man,
I
so many great key points.
I
Sorry, go
feel
ahead.
like no, I feel like those things are so common. I feel like a lot of those things are talked about nowadays, but I mean, they're talked about for a reason. I think those are kind of just like the baseline things that I try to do every single day. So again, I highly encourage you guys just be more active, even if it's like a small walk every single day out in the sunshine. Journal for a few minutes, just get some things out on paper. Try sitting with yourself in silence for a couple of minutes. Yeah, it's just baseline things to take care of your mental health, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that being able to progress to do these things, even if it's doing one thing at a time, you would be surprised, like as you gradually start incorporating these habits, what an overall impact it's going to take on your mind and within your body as well. Like you were saying, the meditating, and then you're actually grounding once you're spending that time in nature, like going to the beach and disconnecting. And I think so many times we get so caught up in, our to-do list and family problems and maybe drama outside of that. It can feel so big and basically right in your face, but being able to take that step back and, like you said, go out in nature, go for a walk, like go bird watching or something. I'm like, this bird isn't like worried about it's paper that's due at midnight or something like that. Like, I think so many times that it can just feel like the weight is so heavy and things aren't going to get done. But once you are able to, actually breathe and connect with yourself and vent about those feelings that are coming up when you're feeling anxious or upset or in distress, like you were saying, like writing it down, being able to release that and refocus is actually going to give you so much more energy and connection, and even have your mind more focused in order to complete these tasks or handle these situations that maybe feel too overwhelming at the time. So I love those examples. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love the
That
journaling thing too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think all those things kind of come down to making sure that you are giving yourself time to relax, unwind, unplug, right? Just having that me time, whatever that is for you. And like you said, maybe just starting small. You don't have to like journal, then meditate, then be physically active, go out in nature all at once. Just like start putting 5 to 10 minutes of me time into your daily schedule to get away from everything and kind of reconnect with your true self. Again, like we're so distracted. We have so many things going on in our lives today that like we never unplug from it. I mean, I do this a lot too sometimes. Like when I wake up in the morning, like I just immediately like look at my phone and like plug in to the world, right? So something I try to do is just like, for the first 30 minutes, like don't even look at my phone. Like go spend some time with myself first before I plug into the world.
I love that. It's such a great example. And for myself and for my sister as well, sometimes we will get, well, she's a lot better at it than I am, but she won't check her phone for like an hour. She leaves it in the other room when she goes to sleep. So technically, you can't, you have to do more work in order to check it. Oh, a book to go along those lines is called Atomic Habits. Have you read that?
It's a great book.
Yeah.
Yep. James
Yeah.
Clear. Yep.
Yeah. So like if you haven't read the book, for our listeners, one of the examples that he says, say you had your TV out and you feel like you watched too much TV and you want to watch less TV, make it a habit to, unplug your TV if it's not mounted and like put it in your closet every time you want to watch TV. So then you have to take it out, put in that effort to do that habit that maybe you want to do less of. So if you make it more complicated to do the habits you want to do less of, then you'll probably do it less. And to go on the opposite of that, if you want to do more beneficial habits, make it easier. So another example is putting your workout clothes on the bed or next to your bed once you get up. That way, once you get dressed first thing in the morning, you're halfway there to getting that workout in. And the hardest part about going to the gym is getting there. So you're
Yep.
halfway there. And then, like you said, like journaling, leave your journal by your bed, maybe. These are steps that can be easily incorporated. Like, even if you do the habit or not, it's easily available to you if you're going to make that urge and do that habit. One thing that I really liked about the habits that you've incorporated, they all kind of lead into this thing is if you're in maybe like ages early 20s or younger, it can be very extremely hard to problem solve. I think being in the military, we found you kind of are forced to problem solve and figure it out and complete the mission. But when it comes to mental health, problem solving is so important because if you feel like you can't do it or figure it out, it's going to consume you. So, like you said, having that time to yourself, meditating, and then writing down your feelings about whatever is going on is going to allow you to refocus and handle whatever's coming your way, big or small. So you're actually building confidence for yourself, whether if that's a physical goal, something you do at work, something small. And for that walk right when you get out of bed, like you're building that confidence of, hey, I can do this and now I can take on anything. So I love that. I love how you were able to share and just elaborate on those key skills that you've incorporated to overall give yourself a reset. To kind of go into detail on the environment that you were in when you were serving, what do you think? And I'm just assuming that you were surrounded by mostly males. What do you think their perceptions of mental health was? Whether it was somebody you worked with, your friends, or maybe your supervisors?
So I was very lucky pretty much my entire military career to be surrounded by a lot of good friends, like really, really good people. Especially on my ship, I had a very tight knit group of friends that like literally we did everything together. I don't know if that was kind of like the same way with you, but like if one was going
Oh,
to
yeah.
chow, all five of us would go to chow. If one was going to
It's
work
like a
out, we'd all
party.
five. Yeah, we did everything together. So we were very close. But what's kind of funny is like I don't think we really talked about mental health all that much. Maybe it was because we were trying to avoid all the shit that we were kind of dealing with, all the stress, all the anxiety, all the work. So what do I think their perspective on mental health was? I really don't know. I think that's a good question. I would say maybe kind of what I was thinking it was. Like not really knowing much about mental health or not knowing about therapy and not really being open to talking about my emotions and my feelings and stuff. So I think for all of us, it was kind of something that we kind of just like swept under the rug just to kind of avoid talking about it and just getting through the day, getting through that deployment. But I would say it was probably very similar to mine, just not really knowing much about it, and it's kind of a thing of we just don't talk about it too much.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, thank you for sharing that. And actually, one thing I think that is so beneficial, which may not even have come to mind, especially during a deployment or something. But having that community and that camaraderie once you're serving, especially during a time like deployment, can just actually help you feel that you're not alone once you're in a situation that is obviously nobody wants to go through those circumstances. But like you were saying, you weren't doing it by yourself. Like you had your friends and you would, work, actually work, eat, work out, and go to sleep. You know what I mean? But
I
yeah.
I don't know how I would have gotten through that deployment.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't if I didn't have those people by my side. So I'm very, very thankful that I had them.
Yay. Shout out deployment crew. Hey.
Shout out. You guys know who you are. Love you guys.
Hey. So to go more into your veteran life, so that was something that may have not been as dominant or more dominant in your military career than your veteran life. What has that transition looked like for you as far as being amongst maybe like a tight knit community?
It's a great question. I would say being a veteran, I don't think I have that close, tight knit group that I had when I was in the military. And I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, a lot of veterans are going through the same thing. The one thing that we miss about the military is like the people, the camaraderie, right?
Yeah.
Having that family, that brother and sister by your side going through the suck together. And when you get into the civilian world, I think a lot of people are lacking that. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
crucial to find that group of people that you can lean on, that you can open up to, that you can go do stuff with, because it's just crucial. Like we're not meant to be alone, right? We're social creatures. Like we have to find that
Right.
kind of tribe, that brotherhood, sisterhood of people. Unfortunately, I don't think I have that close of a group right now, but I definitely have, a small circle of friends that I can go to and open up with and do stuff with. But I think it's very important to find that.
Yes, I agree. And from my own experience as being a veteran and finding that group outside of the military, it takes a lot of work. So I don't know if you can agree with that. Especially like I'm also an introvert, and that's something I'm working on is finding ways to spend more quality time with people that I value and value myself, which you kind of have to go out of your way to find once you're not put in a position where you're forced to be around somebody like 12 hours a day, 5 days
Yep,
a week
that's
minimum.
so true.
So, yeah, as a veteran, it is difficult. I will say that, but it is possible. And the same people you connect with are probably hoping that they're going to get the same thing and provide the same thing for you. So there is reassurance that you're going to be connected with somebody who is also going to value that relationship.
I want to agree with you 100%. Like it is so possible to do it. I think we just kind of put ourselves in a box, or we limit ourselves, and we tell ourselves
Yeah.
like, oh, like there's no people out there that are like me that I can connect to. It's like, well, you're not really trying. You're not really putting
Mm-hmm.
yourself out there either. So I
Yeah.
would say like whatever kind of interests or hobbies that you have, like find people that are interested in the same stuff. For me, for you, fitness is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe start talking to people in the gym that you go to, or maybe somebody that you look up to. Maybe find Facebook groups. You know, just it is possible. You just have to be willing to put in the work.
Yes, exactly. And like you said, you got to get out of the box.
You got to get out of your shell, especially for
You
us
got
introverts. Like it's scary talking to people and putting yourself out there, but like it's a beautiful thing once you do and you actually find those
yeah.
people. You're like, damn, I can do this, and like there are people out there.
Yes, again, building that confidence within yourself to get out of your comfort zone, to create that community that is going to benefit your mental health and your actual emotional well being. Because, like you said, we are creatures that need, even creatures that need people around and need that connection. It's actually like a survival skill, I'm pretty sure. So, thank you so much for sharing that. To kind of go off of that, I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit more about your business and what you provide as a trainer. Can you just maybe go into detail on why you started, what your goal is, and like how can we support you?
For sure. So I got into fitness a while back. It was kind of at the tail end of my high school soccer career. I was a big soccer player all my life, played competitively like all year long. And when that ended in high school, my senior year, I was like, damn, I need something to scratch that itch, right? That competitive nature. And that's when I found fitness. And it's something I've been into long before I joined the Navy, but it's something I've been interested, ever since. And then in the military, in the Navy, I was a, fitness instructor at some of my commands. So I got some experience coaching some people. I actually knew someone that was in the online coaching space that was, really successful, and I saw that it was possible to have a lot of clients and have a successful business coaching people. So I was like, oh, I kind of want to try that when I get out. So when I got out, went into it full force. I had a business partner. We were together for a couple years. We kind of split our own ways at the beginning of this year. So where I want to take it is just, for right now, I don't really have like a big like end goal of where I want to go right now. I just literally want to help people achieve their fitness goals. That's my biggest goal right now. And I think for me, it's more than just getting them the results. What I want to do is educate and teach them how to do this stuff on their own so that they don't really need a coach in the future unless they really want to. Like, my goal is to show you guys how to do this so that you have full control and you can do this on your own, and you don't really have to think of, nutrition, training, how do I do this, how do I do that? Like, it's almost second nature for you, and it's just a part of your lifestyle now. So that's my ultimate goal.
Yay. Coming from somebody who ate a lot of Doritos and drank a lot of Dr. Pepper growing up and didn't work out at all, that's
I feel that.
comforting to hear.
I feel
Yeah,
that.
that was like my high school. But I guess from my perspective, and hopefully some of our listeners can relate, there is so much to learn when it comes to fitness and nutrition. Like you said, being able to guide and just provide examples, feedback, and just being able to feel comfortable to be vulnerable about, hey, this is what I did. Because I think so many people, once they have a trainer, they assume, oh, I can't cheat or whatever, and I have to do something super strict, which, like you said, that's not the case. The case is learning to be able to do it on your own, which is also related to therapy. The connection is between physical and mental journeys, is being able to figure out what works for you, what you like. Like, you don't want to incorporate something you don't like because you're not going to do it. But it's a change of lifestyle. And I'm happy that you shared that so we can get that to our listeners and just build that community and break that stigma around having a trainer. To kind of wrap up here, a question that we like to ask. So if somebody were to be starting their own mental health journey, what kind of advice would you give them, or something you would tell them in order to start their mental health journey?
Great question. I would say maybe start asking yourself some questions. Ask yourself, why do I want to start my mental health journey? What do I want to get out of starting my mental health journey? I think it's important to answer those questions, because if you kind of just go into it blindly, you don't really know why you're doing certain things, then it's not really going to work for you. So I think it's really important to get super clear on why it is you want to start that journey. And then kind of going back to like what we first talked about, is just having the courage to ask for help. It's the same thing with fitness. Like, if you don't know where to start and you have this end goal in mind, you don't know how to get there, just ask for help. Go to someone that has done it before, that knows the ropes and that can show you how to do it, because they're going to give you the blueprint, the kind of shortcut, if you will, to get there, rather than you kind of spinning your wheels and, I don't want to say wasting time, but essentially wasting time, a lot of time that can be spent towards something positive for yourself. So ask yourself hard questions of why you want to start the journey in the first place and what do you want to get out of it. And then I would say, if there's somebody that that you look up to, that is kind of in a position in life that you want to get to, or maybe knows a lot about mental health, ask them. Just ask them questions. Be honest and genuine. If they don't get back to you, they don't answer your questions, then honestly, that's on them. But don't let that discourage you as well from keeping to ask other people as well.
I completely agree. Beautifully said. And I won't even comment on that because I think it's just so inspiring. And thank you so much.
Of course.
And before we go here, what is the best way for us to get in contact with you if we want to reach out or sign up as a client? How can we reach you?
For sure. I think the best way would just be Instagram. So my username is my name, Jake Dellen underscore underscore. You can find me there. You can also find me on Facebook, but Instagram is probably the best way. Yeah, shoot me a message. If you're not even interested in coaching, you just want to say what's up and just have an actual conversation, always down to do that. Um, yeah, feel free to message me. Yeah, DMs are always
Yay.
open.
Get on the Instagram, everybody. What about Threads? Are you on Threads?
I am on Threads. You know, it's
Ah.
funny, like it was super popping in like the beginning, but I haven't really been active on there as much. But yeah, you can hit me up on Threads too.
Yeah. But yeah, I haven't been as active either. But
It's
yeah,
like it's what is it?
awesome.
How is it different from Twitter? You know?
Yeah, no idea. I'm like, I don't know. Again, thank you so much for being on the show today, Jake. Really value your story and your input and your overall experiences that you were able to share with us and the listeners. So thank you so much, you guys. We're gonna wrap it up, but have a great day. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.